I'm Dave Baker.
And I'm Spandrew Spice.
Welcome to Deep Cuts, the podcast where we pick a topic and walk you through the ins, the outs, and the nitty-gritty, so you can appear like an interesting and idiosyncratic person at your next forced social function. Today's topic is...
Akon City, the real-life Wakanda.
What is Akon City? Well, it's a land development and infrastructure project sponsored by the Senegalese government in collaboration with the rapper and entrepreneur Akon. Only problem being, despite having ambitious plans on funding the project through cryptocurrency, nothing seems to have actually happened, despite Akon taking massive amounts of investment. Act 1. Wakanda forever? No. Akonda forever. Have you ever felt the pain of wanting to help someone out, but not having the resources to do so? Have you ever been frustrated by the geopolitics of bureaucracy slowing down the rate of progress in your community? Well, these are all things that the musician known as Akon has experienced. But frankly, he's handling those emotions in a way that just about no one else has ever done. Born Alune Damala Buga Time Puru Naka Lululu Badara Akon Them on April 16, 1973 in St. Louis, Missouri, the artist known as Akon publicly had a father who was a drummer and a mother who was a dancer. He had creativity in his bones almost from birth. His father, Morthiam, was born to a family of Quranic scholars in Kaolack, Senegal. Akon, despite being born in the US, spent much of his childhood in Senegal. From a young age, Akon learned to play many instruments and was always interested in music. At around 7 years old, he moved to New Jersey. Growing up there, he put down roots and began taking music seriously. Once he was enrolled in high school, his parents let him and his older brother live on their own while they moved to Atlanta, Georgia. Spandrew, what's your pre this episode recording knowledge of Akon?
I don't remember if I mentioned this or not. I definitely mentioned it to you, whether it was on the podcast or not. I don't remember. Probably not on the podcast, but I mean, aside from the fact that my knowledge of Akon is probably the same as most people's, of just like I'm familiar with him, familiar with his music, was around whenever he was super popular. Not particularly a fan, just kind of like heard his songs when they were on the radio in the 2010s, whenever he was very popular. Aside from that, back around like 2014, 15, 16, my company used to do this thing, like the big thing that we did in like 2014, 2015, 2016. It was, we worked with artists, and this was like a really popular thing that a lot of companies did back then. In like the early to mid 2010s, there was all these music artists and celebrities who had these Facebook pages that just had millions of followers, just kind of naturally. Like, you create a Facebook page for a celebrity and it'll just gain millions of followers. But like, nobody really knew what to do with that. Like, they didn't do it on purpose. Like, Snoop Dogg didn't purposely grow a Facebook page with millions of followers. He just got millions of followers because he was a celebrity. But it wasn't like it is now, where, somebody creates a TikTok page and they get millions of followers and then they make videos of them backstage or, doing dance trends or whatever. It was just like, oh, I just have this Facebook page, and like sometimes I say, hey everybody, good morning. So there was this opportunity to utilize these Facebook pages. And what my company did was we created content to monetize through Facebook, articles, listicles, image galleries, and posted them on our Facebook pages and drove traffic to them, which generated ad revenue. And so what we did in the 2010s was we partnered with celebrities. We created content for them that was on their own like bespoke website. So it would be like our website.snoopdogg.com, And then they would have a bunch of content that was like relevant to Snoop Dogg and his like fans. And then we would post it on his Facebook page and make ad revenue. We would split the ad revenue with the artist. And we worked with a bunch of different artists. We worked with Snoop Dogg. We worked with George Takei. We worked with Kevin Hart, Guns N' Roses, and we worked with Akon. Akon was one of our biggest clients. And so we created content for Akon. So we had a team of writers who would like be thinking of like what type of stuff Akon liked and then writing content like it was written by him, like ghost writing as Akon. And then we would post that content and make money. And we did that for years until a lot of stuff about social media and the industry kind of shifted. But yeah, we made content for Akon and all of these sort of celebrities. They came to our office, although I never actually met Akon, but he was in the same building as me one time. And they were weirdly like didn't want us to meet them because they thought that we would like make them look bad or something like that. It was stupid. But the other thing I know about Akon, which honestly was a bit of a conflict for me at the time, was one of the big reasons why he stopped being really popular was because there was a big scandal where he like fondled and made out with a woman on stage at one of his concerts, but she was 16, and he made a song about it where he was basically like apologizing, but he wasn't apologizing. He was like, sorry, you thought I did something wrong, which I find extremely ironic because this is a whole other conversation that we could go on about for hours, but we won't. But there's this big creator, this streamer right now. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he like he's like basically like a pedophile hunter, and he sets up like predators. He does like the Chris Hansen To Catch a Predator style thing where he gets like fake kids to like chat with people to bait them into meeting up with like underage kids, and then he meets them there and he streams, and but instead of like what Chris Hansen did where he was like, you're in trouble, here's the cops. Instead, they like fuck with them and they do like weird pranks on them, and then they get them arrested. And now he started like hiring celebrities to come and like do weird shit. So like he'll hire rappers, and the rappers will like come and they'll just like rap. And recently he did one where they trapped a predator, and they brought Akon, and Akon sang a song to him. And I was just like, didn't Akon get in trouble for doing something with underage?
I believe the term you're looking for is girls.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. The 16-year-old girl. This is Spandrew from the future. The girl was 14. But like, wasn't that like his most notable scandal? And somehow they've just like forgotten that, and now they're like, yeah, Akon, come help us catch this predator who's doing the exact same thing you did?
Akon was eventually discovered by music mogul Devi Stevens. The two were introduced by the rapper Lil Zane. Stevens had discovered Usher and TLC and taken them from unknown to superstar. Akon's first solo record, Trouble, was released in 2004. And in 2005, he released the single Lonely, which reached number 5 on the Billboard Top 100. Let's listen to a little clip of this and react, as they say.
Who says that? I want to know. The Fine Brothers?
Los Angeles! Give it up one more time for Akon!
Lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely. I have nobody for my own. I'm so lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely.
Yo, Akon,
What up, D?
you coming to what, man?
Nah, I got a lot on my mind, man. I'm gonna let y'all go ahead, man.
All right.
Lonely, I have nobody.
I'm just gonna take my shirt off.
He just takes his shirt off and puts on a new shirt for no other reason than to flex those pecs.
Goes out to all my players out there, man. You know, that got that one good girl, dog, that's always been there, man. Like, took all the bullshit. But then one day she can't take it no more.
This is the longest intro to a song.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Woke up in the middle of the night and I know
A minute into the video.
outside. Could've sworn I was dreaming, for her I was fiending, so I had to take a little ride. Backtracking on these few years, trying to figure out what I do to make it go bad. Cause ever since my girl left me, my whole life came crashing, and I'm so
I think we get the idea.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, I'm not a fan of that. That did nothing for me. And also, I feel like, and I'm not saying this is Mr. Akon's entire career.
Mr. Akon's.
I'm not saying that this is his entire career, because honestly, I don't really remember much of his music. Honestly, I can only think in my mind. I can only think of that apology song that he made. But during this time in like the mid 2000s to late 2000s, I feel like it was the era where there was a lot of music on the radio where the song wasn't good at all, and it felt like just the most phoned in thing. And the reason why it was so popular was just because it had a good hook. Like the only heavy lifting being done here is just that hook, the sample, the Mr. Lonely hook.
It feels like he was asleep while rapping it.
Flo Rida was the biggest perpetrator of this, where he just hit after hit after hit of just like phoned in verse and then just like a really good hook that was just a sample from a different song.
The craziest thing is that this is like this.
That did nothing for me.
The craziest thing is that this is a smash success that like launches his career. So then from there, he basically gets a deal with Interscope, and he starts his own like sub record label under Interscope called Conline Distribution, which doesn't sound like a real fucking company. But he puts out a second record, Convicted, which sells 286,000 fucking records in the first week. Yeah, dude. Yeah. And the notable kind of single from this period in his life is a song called I Wanna Love You.
I want to love this song, but I'm assuming I'm not going to.
Do you remember this song?
No. I the name doesn't like...
I wanna love you, whining and dining all on the floor. I'm curious how much of what I just hummed is going to be the actual song.
To be honest, like that meant nothing to me until the very last thing you said. The whining and dining. I was like, oh yeah, that. Before that, it was just noise.
The wrong things right.
But yes, I absolutely remember this.
Convict music.
So this I'm more familiar with than that other song.
I see you whining and grinding
Up on that pole.
when you already know.
I wanna love you. You already know I wanna love you. Already know.
Money in the air.
So this is a lot catchier.
It's a lot. It's almost like he maybe tried.
Yeah, but also you got Snoop Dogg rapping on the verse, so it's like, oh, you know, this guy's got charisma enough for everybody.
I'ma stick on you. If you pick me, then I'ma pick on you. Digo double G and I'm here to put this on you. I'm stuck on and yours is right. Rip and them is tight. And I'ma get me a shot for the end of the night. Cause and baby, I'll be for life.
Whining and grinding up on the floor. I know you see me looking at you and you already know.
So you get it. You get it.
Much catchier song, and I remember that one way more than I remember that other one.
So in the quintessential mid 2000s way, Akon decides he's going to branch out, right? He wants to mimic kind of, you know, the P. Diddy archetype of like a guy who is a musician. I mean, P. Diddy is more like an executive who conned his way into being on a couple tracks and then just had all these business ventures, right?
All these business ventures. There's one in particular.
Yeah, one in particular. But Akon kind of has a similar outlook where he's going to branch out. So he wants to be a multimedia, you know, multi-hyphenate. So he starts a clothing line in 2007 called Convict Clothing. He's really into this whole like my name ends with con, and convict is a word that has con in it. It comes up over and over again. But let's watch this weird MTV Movie Awards, or no, that's just an MTV Awards clip. It's very strange and so like 2000s.
Testing 1 2, audio test 1 2 3.
President Akon.
Sorry for the times that I left you home.
2006 saw the release of Akon's second album, Convicted. Combining streetwise swagger and studio originality, it cemented the Akon sound.
In the beginning, they didn't know whether I was a rap artist, an R&B artist, a reggae artist. I'm gonna create an album to give people an overall view of what it is I do. And I kind of shut myself out from everything just so I can focus on this particular album. I feel like it's gonna really, really do good.
And do really good.
It's really gonna do
The album sold
good.
nearly 4 million copies in just 30
Yeah, he's like he just doesn't even believe in himself, man. He's like the least driven artist. See, I remember this song too, definitely. 'Cause I got you. Nobody wanna see us together, but it don't matter, no.
So I will have to come up with a concept first, and then
Nobody wanna see us together.
finish with the track. And the hook by that time is already in my head.
But it's not just Akon's hooks on this album that have drawn in the fans. He also hooked up with some major big
Eric
shots.
Roberts.
It's also Eric Roberts and Eminem.
Exactly what we was gonna do.
Yeah, it's this song with Eminem in it, and then Eric Roberts is in the music video.
Dying. I was like, yo, why you playing? That's gonna be a hit record. We should really say that. Snoop is a real cool dude. That's like family now. He didn't even hesitate. He laid his verses like within an hour. Both verses done. Finish. You know what I'm saying?
With 5 hit singles, Convicted has proved a worldwide success. Yet, amazingly, Akon has remained grounded.
I feel like as long as you can just continue to just be yourself, man, you're gonna always be successful regardless.
I highly doubt that he's like family with Snoop Dogg now.
Yeah, I really don't think that is likely.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen, like, have you ever seen Damon Albarn from Gorillaz like talk about whenever Snoop Dogg was on a Gorillaz album and just like talking about his process? Where there's a video where he's talking about whenever Snoop Dogg was on Plastic Beach, Gorillaz album, and he's like, yeah, he just like showed up, like, you know, you pay Snoop Dogg to do a feature on your album and he'll do it. Like there's a price and you pay it and he'll do it. And he like showed up at the studio and he's like, play the song for me. And so they play the song for him and he's like, all right, I'll be right back. And then like they went out with his entourage and they got into a car and they like drove around for 30 minutes. And then he came back and he was like, all right, I need everybody to leave. And so they had to like go out of the studio and just the engineer was left in there. And then he just laid down his verse in like one take and then left. And that was the process. And they're like, okay.
That is amazing. Also, I feel like I saw a separate interview with him where he said what the number was, and it was $250,000.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But yes, I highly doubt that like Akon and Snoop Dogg like became family. It was probably just the same thing. They were like, the record label was like, here's $250,000, and he's like, all right, give me 30 minutes.
Amazing. Where the fuck did Lil Dicky get $250,000 from? That's what I want to know.
For that song that Snoop Dogg is on, yeah, I think about that too. I have no idea.
Rich parents or something, I guess. How delightful was the kind of like weird, overly important English narrator in that? And this is where the Akon sound was solidified. Was it? Is it?
Yeah, is it? I feel like this. He's just very one note, and his songs all just kind of sound the same, and he doesn't even seem to like be that into it. Like he seems like just very unenthusiastic about his whole career and life. It's like the least excited, like in terms of like getting excited about an artist and like really buying into their story. There's just like no meat there.
It's also one of those things too of like, I feel like this was like a little bit before when the ironic I don't care thing, you know? Like it's not like he was like fully, you know, like I'm just too cool to fucking be here. Like that's Snoop's kind of whole thing is he's like a little holier than thou, kind of just like high and like, I'm just like fucking too good to be here, bro. Whereas Akon kind of just feels like he doesn't want to try. Akon's third album, Freedom, was released on December 2nd, 2008, and this is the one that everyone's been waiting for. Look, we all know that we've been suffering through this Akon in order to get to David Guetta's smash fucking hit, Sexy Bitch.
With some of the most hilarious and baffling lyrics I've ever heard in a song.
It doesn't feel like a real song. This song is a song from a Will Ferrell movie from 2005, and yet somehow the movie was deleted from the server, so they just decided to release the movie as an effort to recoup some of the cost. They couldn't figure out how to get the movie back, and shock of all shocks, the fucking David Guetta featuring Akon actually. And also there's two versions of it. One is Sexy Bitch and one is Sexy Chick. This is the censored version.
Of course, the radio version had to change it because, you know, they couldn't just be saying bitch on the radio. But I don't even know which one is funnier, because the unedited version is just like, it's so bafflingly, I haven't looked into this, but I'm assuming this is actually probably the case. But the lyrics sound like they were written by David Guetta.
I'm sure they were.
And it's like, that's a pretty common thing. Well, let's listen to it for a second, and then I'll say this.
Even this beat is just so funny to me.
At least they learned their lesson of making the intro a little shorter.
Yes, I can see you.
Oh, David Guetta with the hair.
Oh, she's a diva. I feel the same and I wanna meet her. They say she low down. It's just a room and I don't believe them.
Oh, yeah.
They say she needs to slow down.
Smooching him on the cheek?
Dude, a cheek smooch? He's a cheek smoocher.
Girl you've ever seen before. Nothing you can compare to your neighborhood. I'm trying to find
Nothing that you can compare to your neighborhood, omitted word.
disrespectful. The way that booty moving, I can't take no more. Had to stop what I'm doing so I can pull her close. I'm trying to find the words to describe this girl without being disrespectful. Damn girl, she's a sexy chick. A sexy chick. Damn, she's a sexy chick.
This song is actively making humanity dumber.
Just to reiterate what these lyrics are. I mean, many, if you're our age, you're very familiar with the song, I'm assuming. But just to reiterate, the lyrics are, she's nothing like a girl you've ever seen before. Nothing you can compare to your neighborhood whore. I'm trying to find the words to describe this girl without being disrespectful. Damn girl, you a sexy bitch. You a sexy bitch. Those are the words to this.
Like, I'm not gonna lie to you right now. I wish this song was a mumble rap song. Like, I wish this was just like
so your mind couldn't be like destroyed by hearing and actually understanding the lyrics.
Yeah, like I would like this to be more of like almost like a Cenobite puzzle, where like if you could parse the evils of then you would unlock the evil that is, damn you a sexy bitch. But that most of society would just live blissfully in the melody of
yeah, if this song came out today, it would trigger like the rapture, I think. But even at the time when this song came out, like obviously something like this was more socially acceptable because it was on the radio and people didn't really make that much of a stink about it. But even then, I was like, what the fuck are these lyrics? I was like, what the hell? This is insane. And the thing is, like I said before, it sounds, and I'm assuming I'm probably right about this, it sounds like David Guetta wrote the lyrics. And that's a pretty common thing, that there's a lot of songwriters historically in the past like 40 years in pop music that are from Sweden, Germany, and France. And what is David Guetta? Is he Swedish? What is he?
I think so. I'm looking it up. I'm looking up who made the lyrics to this, though. Hold on. Or no, keep talking while I'm looking this up.
But that's a pretty common thing where there will be these songwriters from other countries that don't speak English very well.
He's French.
French, yeah. So a lot of songwriters are Eastern European. They're Swedish. They're French. They're German. And so like they'll write these really catchy songs, but they'll also write the lyrics, and the lyrics won't make any sense because they don't speak English very well. And this is like a pretty documented thing. Like the song "Hit Me Baby One More Time" by Britney Spears was written by a Swedish songwriter who wrote a lot of pop songs in the 90s. And like that lyric doesn't make any sense. "Hit Me Baby One More Time" makes no sense. And then also, famously, the song "I Want It That Way" by Backstreet Boys was written by the same Swedish songwriter. I'm blanking on his name, but he's like a really big songwriter. And he wrote like a bunch of songs for boy and girl groups in the 90s. And they had a version of the song. And if you listen to the lyrics to "I Want It That Way" by Backstreet Boys, they don't make sense. They literally don't make any sense. And at a certain point, they realized that, and they re-recorded a new version of the song with lyrics that made sense and were written by like an American English as its first language person. And everyone decided that they liked the nonsensical version better. They thought it was catchier. And so they scrapped the new one and put out the other one. And so the one that we know is the one that doesn't make any sense. So this is like a very common thing that's happened a lot in pop music. But in this case, I feel like somebody should have been like, this is weird, guys. These lyrics are weird.
So check this. So the people who are credited as songwriters on Sexy Bitch are David Guetta, Alun Thiem, which is Akon, Jean-Claude Sindres, and Sandy V. So there are 4 people, but also are there.
Yeah,
like,
so it's like Akon and then 2 French people and then whoever Sandy V is. But I feel like somebody should have been like, okay, I know that this is like a tradition at this point that we have these pop songs with lyrics that are just kind of like they sound like they were written by somebody who doesn't speak English.
Oh my god. Listen to this from the wiki. Sexy Bitch was written by Giorgio Tefort, Akon, David Guetta, Jean-Claude Sindres, and Sandy V. The production was helmed by Guetta, Sindres, and V. Guetta, in an interview for MTV News, said that the collaboration with Akon came after they met during a performance of When Love Takes Over with Kelly Rowland. Akon approached him afterwards, asking if they could work together, and Guetta suggested that they should start working immediately. So they rented a studio in London and made the song in one night. Sexy Biz was released as the second single for One Love 2009. After the international success of When Love Takes Over, it was released worldwide and was a digital was a digital promotional single which preceded the official release of One Love on July 24th, 2009. I love this. I love this so much.
Nothing you can compare to your neighborhood whore is like, that's like a punch in the gut. That is such an offensive line. It's like it hurts to hear.
I mean, I guess is the idea there that like,
and the internal mechanics of the lyrics are just so bizarre because it's like, that's the frame of reference that you have when you meet somebody that you are attracted to and you like. You're just like the prism through which you focus your attraction to them is, well, at least they're not a fucking whore. Like that's the thing you think. Like the person's value to you is that they aren't a whore. Like what the fuck?
Yeah. The other component of this too is like, do we think that this song is uniquely bad due to the fact that it was produced so quickly, or do we think this song is uniquely bad due to everyone involved being money drunk? Like, everyone is like, we're riding high. We can't be fucking stopped. We can do anything. Oh, neighborhood whore. Sexy bitch. These are great ideas.
My answer to that is that Dolly Parton wrote I Will Always Love You and Jolene in the same day.
Well, there's no coming back from that one. Moving on in Akon's career, his next project is this very interesting, uniquely ambitious undertaking called Stadium. There's only one problem. It was a huge failure. So on January 1st, 2015, Akon released 5 singles that would each be part of a 4-part album. Stadium Island, Stadium World, Stadium Urban, Stadium... another one. I don't remember what the other one is. I put Stadium World here twice. That's a fuck up on my behalf. But there's 4. There's 4: Island, World, Urban, and Pop, I think. Stadium Pop. All the singles were supposed to work in concert. So his idea is that he was going to release... Basically, he was going to take over pop culture and put out an album in each of these genres in order to amass all of this support from these various spheres of pop culture that typically don't have overlap or talk to each other. And that he was going to be the center of this very complicated Venn diagram of 5 circles, and only Akon would be in the middle. Which in some ways is a really strange, cool, weird, ambitious project. There's only one problem. You have to do that. You actually have to make those 4 intersecting albums. The other thing that's weird about this is there's 5 singles and 4 albums. Why are there 5 singles and only 4 albums? Weird. So all of the 5 singles fail to chart. And so it was originally going to tie into this app, with a Stadium mobile app would have supported all of this stuff and paid for it due to an ad model. That never happened. So the project was just delayed indefinitely. And this would probably be where you'd move on, right? You'd just make more music. And yeah, Akon did that. He put out multiple singles. But you can't keep a good idea down.
Akon has announced his new record label, Akonic Label Group, and will release 4 studio albums in different genres. In May 2019, Akon released his first Latin single, Get Money, featuring Puerto Rican rapper Anuel AA. It was intended to be the lead single for his 4th album, El Negrito, but didn't appear on the final version of the album. The album was expected to be released on August 30th of 2019, but was pushed back and released on October 4th, 2019. On September 6, 2019, Akon released Como No, featuring Mexican-American singer Becky G, as the lead single from El Negrito. He released the album Acondo on October 25th, 2019, and his 6th album, Connect, in December of the same year.
Yeah, so he did it again, and then it just didn't happen. Love it. Love it. I love the fact that he's like, I got this fucking plan! It's huge! Fail. Licks his wounds for a couple years, comes back, and he's like, I got this fucking plan! And it's basically the same as my last plan! It's gonna be fucking huge! Fail. Nothing.
It's like the shitty version of Terry Gilliam's Don Quixote movie that he kept trying to make, where like as opposed to Terry Gilliam, who genuinely followed this Don Quixote-esque journey to try to get this film made several times and like dumped all of his money and time and passion into it, and it just kept failing. This is like that, except for it's like a dude who's just like, I don't want to try that hard.
Full on. I just kind of don't. I want to be known as like an innovator and like a visionary, but I kind of don't really have vision, and I kind of just like hanging out on beaches. I don't really want to do this shit, you know? Spandrew, how's your health doing in this definitely organic in between act thing where we're about to promote things? But before that, I'm checking in on you. How's your health?
Well, you know, you learn a lot of things when things like this happen to you. And one of the things you learn, so I mean, I think I'm doing mostly okay. I broke my ankle about a month ago. It happened on July 1st, and I was in the hospital for 7 days in Switzerland, which was a strange and surreal experience. And then I got out of the hospital, and then I went through this excruciating 24-hour flight journey where I had to take a 8-hour flight from Switzerland to Boston and then have a 5-hour layover and then a 6-hour flight from Boston to LA. It's kind of a nightmare. I watched the Roadhouse remake though, and I fucking loved it, and I highly recommend it to everybody.
I have not seen that. Is it good?
I loved it. Give me 10 more. Give me 10 more.
What did you like about it? I love Roadhouse, the original one, but what did you like about this?
Kind of the same thing. It's just a Western. It's a movie about a guy who shows up in a town. He meets the locals. There's a town bully, and then he fights the town bully and wins, and then rides off into the sunset. And the fight scenes are cool. You know, it was directed by Doug Liman, and if you've seen any Doug Liman movie, like, he's really good at shooting action. So, like, you know, The Bourne Identity, Go, Edge of Tomorrow, like, that's just probably the thing he's best at. And it's like really interesting and unique action, which is really cool, especially in today's climate where you have like in MCU movies where everything is just shot on a formula, and it's like, oh yeah, this is how a fight scene looks in movies now. And then it's also just like, it had like a weird tone that was just kind of like goofy, and I just thought it was funny. Like the villain character played by Conor McGregor, he's just like a fucking psychopath, but like in a hilarious way, in a way that doesn't make sense. Like, no real person would ever be like this, even a psychopath. The way they were introduced to him is that somebody needs to like take care of the character played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and so they call him, and he's in Spain, and he's climbing down from like a fire escape in some building, and he's just completely naked. And then like there's a woman up at the top, and she's like, bye. And then a guy comes out, and he's like, how dare you? And he's like, and then he gets a phone call, and he like answers it, and he like walks into this little like village, and there's all these people and shops and things like that, and they're like, you got to come to this town and kill this guy. And he's like, all right. And then he just walks up, and there's a guy, and then he just like, I like your coat. And then he just grabs his coat, and then it cuts to him walking away from the village, and he's wearing the guy's clothes, and the village is on fire. Like, for no reason, he just set the village on fire before he left. And then there's another scene when he's going to this bad guy's house, and he's in a car, and for no reason, he just crashes into a tree. Like, that's how he parks the car. He just crashes head on into a tree and then gets out. And that's how he parked the car. I laughed out loud on this plane. And I was like, I fucking love this movie so much. But yeah, that's a tangent, but highly recommend Roadhouse.
They're making a sequel, right?
But unfortunately, it's probably not going to be directed by Doug Liman because he's like upset that the movie didn't go to theaters, and he's like boycotting it. But yeah, give me 10 more of them. But yeah, and then, you know, I've just been hanging out and kind of staying on bed rest. I went to the doctor. I got a new removable cast boot thing. Everything's mostly fine. You know, it's healing. I'm basically in about a month, in about 3 weeks, I should be walking again. However, back to what I was saying about you learn new things. Apparently, whenever you lay in bed a lot because you're on bed rest and you have to keep your leg elevated, and you're not using your lungs enough, you can get a collapsed lung. Your lung just collapses, and it makes you very sick.
Hear me out. Don't do that.
Yeah, well, what's done is done. So, and it's actually kind of ironic because it happened directly after my most active I've been. What was it? 2 weekends ago or 1 weekend ago? Two weekends ago, my family went down to San Diego because it was my son's. It was Phoenix WK's birthday. Phoenix Spubby Spay's birthday, and we went down to San Diego and we went to Legoland. And this is the first time I've been like up and around in like 3 weeks. And we went around Legoland. I have this scooter thing. You saw it when I was, but I have this scooter that you put your knee on of your broken leg, and you just like wheel around like that. And so we went to Legoland, and we were in Legoland all day on Friday, and then on Saturday we went to Comic-Con. Me and my two sons, we went to Comic-Con and met up with old Davey Bakes. And we were just there all day, or not all day. We were there for like 4 or 5 hours, and it was the most I'd been up and around. but I was starting to feel sick around that time. Like at the end of the day on Comic-Con, I was starting to feel a little run down. And I thought like I got COVID or something like that. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like when I've been like masking up, like when I go to the doctor, because I'm like, the last thing I fucking need, in addition to being stuck in bed and having a broken leg and not being able to go anywhere, is just to also get sick. But I was starting to feel sick, and I was like, fuck, I got COVID or something like that. But I got really sick. Like a couple days after Comic-Con, I felt like I was on my deathbed sick. And I went to the doctor and I got an x-ray because we thought maybe I had pneumonia. And it turned out that part of my left lung collapsed and made me very sick.
Here's my question. I know that you have an aversion to hospitals and doctors from stuff that happened to you as a kid. Has the increased frequency of doctor's visits made that fear subside a little bit? Or is it even worse now? Are you like, oh, never going again?
It's really funny you say that, because I literally have thought about that recently. I do think, not the doctor's visits, because I hate doctor's visits. I'm like, they make me very anxious, and I never know, like, I'm like, they make me like anxious in a way that doesn't make logical sense. And I just want to avoid it as much as possible. So the doctor's visits, I feel like didn't really change anything. But I really do think that being in the hospital for 7 days, and I think actually especially because of the conditions, the fact that people did not speak English. Because the thing is that in Germany, everybody speaks English. Like everybody's fluent in English. In France, not really in Paris necessarily, but in other parts of France, they speak English. Even if they pretend like they don't, they do. Like they can understand you and they can talk to you if they want. But in Switzerland, they don't speak English. So nobody, I'm in Switzerland, I'm literally like 10 minutes away from Germany, but nobody speaks English. And I genuinely think that being in the hospital for 7 days and how like crazy and weird it was, that I'm just being taken care of by all these people and they don't speak English and I'm just like stranger in a strange land. I actually do think there was like a level of exposure therapy that happened that made me like my phobia of hospitals like way less.
That's good. Well, on the topic of growing and becoming a better person, do you have anything you'd like to promote?
First and foremost, I'd like to promote shoes with very good sole, like bottoms, like a lot of tread.
Like shoes with soles, like fucking shoes with sole, like as in like a 70s disco.
Yeah,
shoes.
I got sole and I'm super bad. Just really thick, really textured. Just, if you step on some wet grass on a hill, you are not gonna slide down it and have your leg get caught underneath you and get snapped in half. Other than that, if you want to pay your respects to dear beloved Papa Pricey, the former co-host of Deep Cuts, you can go to his website, dapricewrites.com, and pick up his comic, Deadbolt AI Private Eye, which is a book about a future robot detective solving crimes in a dystopian nightmare. It's on his website. I think it's $13. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can go to Facebook and search Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group, Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group, where we talk about the show. We make memes. We talk about other things. It's a fun little community. You can also join our Discord server by going to bit.ly.com/deepcutsdiscord, where it's just another community. It's kind of like a separate but equal community of people who talk about the show, make memes, but we also play games there. And there's a lot of channels for a lot of different discussions. So it's like a kind of an expanded version of the Facebook group. You can follow us on Instagram by going to Deep Cuts Pod. You can follow us on TikTok by going to at Mystery Treehouse. And you can follow me on TikTok at Dead Boy Detective, where I make cool little videos about facts and random things. What about you, Dave?
I would like to promote my graphic novel from Top Shelf, Mary Tyler Moorhawk. It's a comic that took me a long time to make. If you've been a listener to the show, you know that I started this book before the podcast started. It's half novel, half graphic novel, kind of like Buckaroo Banzai meets House of Leaves. So if you're into weird metatextual mysteries, strange action-adventure comics that are throwbacks to the 1930s, and or books that unmake themselves as you read them, please go check out Mary Tyler Moorhawk, available wherever books are sold. And on that note, Act 2. No, really, he's doing it. He's making this happen. He's making a city. In 2018, Akon announced that he would be working on a project that would change the face of the world. Akon City, Senegal. He was working in conjunction with the Senegalese government to build a tourist city with a cryptocurrency-based economy called Akon City. The coin that would power this adventure? Akon.
Dear God. This is a man whose primary drive in life is puns. Everything he does is motivated by whether or not there's a pun in it.
It really is. Like, he just really is. All I want to do in life is have a list of puns next to my name and have everyone in the world know what those puns are and know that those puns made a lot of money.
Hilsmer would fucking hate this guy.
I love this guy. I love a pun.
Hilsmer would famously we know that Hilsmer, just something about his race or his culture, his upbringing, whatever, he hates puns and metaphors. So, that's why we have, at one point he had a cryptocurrency and it was called Hilsmer's cryptocurrency rather than Hills coin. And we suggested it would be called Hills coin and he got really offended. And we got, Hilsmer's pirate radio station. He likes to be straightforward. He hates any kind of pun or play on words.
Akon announced Akoin at the Cannes Lions International Film Festival of Creativity in 2018. Then, in 2020, he announced Akon City. Then, in September of that same year, he announced this rendering of what the city would look like. Spandrew, what does this city look like?
So two things. Number one, it just looks like a physically impossible thing. Like, it's not even just that, like, he said he was going to build a city and that's unrealistic. Even if he really did build a city, it's not going to look like this. This is a fantasy world. But yeah, it looks like some science fiction, not even utopia. It almost kind of looks like dystopian. It's got it looks like it's from Dune or something. But it's the city where the skyline is composed of these almost like organic geometric shapes for buildings. Like, rather than traditional buildings, it's like a building that's made out of like this sort of like snake-like spiral, and one that kind of looks like tentacles coming together and forming a point at the top. And it looks like if you went to like Midjourney or some AI generator and was like, create science fiction city.
It's worse than that though, because it looks like 4 different pieces of concept art like shittily photoshopped together.
Like, it's funny, it's hilarious, and it shows you how before we even get into what happened, it just shows you how deeply unserious the whole thing is. Because like, he's saying, we're gonna build this city, here's the concept art for it, a completely physically impossible thing that nobody would ever in their minds think could become a reality. It's like not based on, it's not grounded in reality in any way, shape, or form.
The proposed city would have a university, parks, offices, apartments, an ocean resort, and a 5,000-bed hospital. However, things didn't go as smoothly as we all would have hoped. In a Q&A posted to Penn Today, Christopher Markinkowski, a professor of urban design at Weissman School of Design, seemed pretty skeptical that anything would be manifested from this project.
How have you perceived the dialogue around this project? You call it a cryptocurrency city. Part of the marketing pitch for Akon City is the funding mechanism for it. The construction, funding, and transactions that would take place in it once built are said to utilize Akoin, Akon's primary cryptocurrency. So that's been a distinguishing feature picked up by the media. The other thing I've seen highlighted most often in news reports is the particular architectural form, that is, the biomorphic or parametric aesthetic of the project's promotional images. So is this bogus or actually feasible? Will there be a follow-through with this? My relationship with the project is simply as an observer. My ongoing scholarship related to the phenomenon of speculative urbanization essentially looks at the promotion of a large-scale real estate development initiative by public and private actors that are physically ambitious in their scale and highly speculative from an economic or market point of view. Specifically, I have been looking at a series of similar initiatives throughout the African continent over the past few years. So while this one seems rather delirious when you first see it, there are actually many other recent examples that are quite comparable. I suspect this project, like the others I have looked at, is very much a real estate play. Something will ultimately be built, but the nature of what is constructed will likely bear little relationship to what is being shown in the press. There's a disconnect between the propaganda for the project and the reality of execution, which is basically what I was saying. It's like, it's so unserious. It's like, you look at that and it's nobody would ever, other than that particular type of crypto bro who engages in everything disingenuously, they don't even they have no conception in their mind of anything actually being real or the practical components of it or the logistics of it. They just generically buy into hype in a conceptual form. Other than that type of crypto bro, nobody would ever look at that concept art and actually think that that could become a real thing.
Let's watch this little BBC video here.
You'll be aware that there was a project that started before the release of Akon as a cryptocurrency.
Yes.
It was called Tokens of Appreciation. And in that project, there were people who sent money in, people who wanted to back your campaign and wanted to see the cryptocurrency projects take off. Mm-hmm. And later there were delays with Akon City and with Akon. And those people were offered refunds. Now, I've spoken to a number of those TOA or Token of Appreciation holders, and a year ago they were promised refunds and they haven't received them yet.
Unfortunately, me being who I wasn't monitoring the situation, and I wasn't as hands-on as I was supposed to be, or as I was led on to be, because I was the face, and this is, my idea and my dream. Now everything is under new management. All the people that did have tokens, we made sure that we got in contact with everybody to make sure that as we're building the super app, that whatever their contribution was to Akon, that same equity value will be, contributed back to them in this new project.
That was for people who chose that they wanted to stick with the project. Some people were offered a chance, if you wanted a refund now, you could leave. And they said, we would like to leave. We've put in hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, and we don't believe in the project anymore. And for those people, they asked for that money last year in 2021, and they've still not received it in 2022. Were you aware of that?
No, that I wasn't aware. Because I know all the people that I knew that was on record. We definitely met with everybody. And this was the agreement that was actually agreed on. So if there was anyone outside of that, I definitely wasn't aware.
And those people who asked for their money back and were expecting it a year ago, when will they receive their money?
Well, that I'm just literally on everything finding out. So I'm going to definitely get more involved and figure out what that's about. But we do have instruments in place to make sure those people are happy, even if I got to go in my own pocket. I'm dead serious.
You'll pay out of your own pocket?
Hell yeah, I would, because they believed in me. Why wouldn't I? I would do a world tour just to pay them all back.
Look, I hate to be this way, but I'm trying to find the words to describe this guy without being disrespectful. And ooh, he's a stupid bitch. Man, he's a stupid bitch.
I mean, yeah, here's the thing. Even if I know, because so many people just find the entire concept of cryptocurrency to just be like overall like a scam. Even if there is some merit to what like Web3, blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFTs, even if there is merit to them in some way, it really is just like, for a celebrity, for anybody who's publicly known, it's like one of the stupidest things you could do is like start a cryptocurrency or create an NFT. The people that it works out best for are people who anonymously start these projects and just nobody knows their identity because they're not held accountable for anything and they can just kind of disappear. Like that's the only type of people that this ever works out for, because they're con artists. But it's like, it's such a stupid idea for any celebrity or publicly known person to ever engage in this, because the thing is like, and I don't feel any shame in saying this. In 2021, a little bit into 2022, like cryptocurrency and NFTs were like at the biggest they ever were and ever will be. And, you know, I work as a marketer. I work as a consultant. I work with different companies. And during that time, I had some issues where some jobs that I had dried up and I wasn't making that money anymore. And the jobs that were available were doing marketing and doing social media management for NFT shit. Spapa Spicy had to make some money to feed some family members. So I did some of that work for these. Hi. Like that. I had to feed that baby. And I got a lot of insight onto both sides of it. I got to learn like the internals of like these things, not just from an outside perspective. Like I got to learn a lot about them. And the thing about these projects like cryptocurrency and NFTs and stuff, like imagine like, you know, you make Mary Tyler Moore, right? And you sell it. And that's the transaction. You make a piece of art and people want it and they buy it from you and they enjoy it and you've made the money and they've gotten the thing, right? And that's how most products work. You make a thing, people want the thing, they pay you for it, and you get the thing and they get the money. Imagine if when you made Mary Tyler Moore, imagine if you sold it to people, but rather than just selling them the thing and saying, I made a thing and you were going to buy it from me and read it and like it, and then that's it. Imagine if instead you were like, I made this book. If you buy it from me, it will become very valuable. And the longer you have it, the more valuable it'll be. And eventually you can sell it to somebody else for 10 times the amount you paid for it. Imagine if that was the thing. And you're gonna say that's comics. You're gonna say that's comics. The speculator market, but worse, because there's not actually, at least with speculator comics, there's a comic.
Yeah, a physical object. Yeah,
but this is like that, but it's actually nothing. But imagine if that's the transaction that you engaged with directly as a creator, because this speculator market, it's like secondhand. It's like comic shops and individual collectors doing the selling and trading and all this stuff. But imagine if you personally, as the creator of the book, engaged in that transaction with a buyer and said, if you buy this from me, I'm going to sell you this book. Rather than selling it to you for $20, buy this from me for $5,000. And if you buy it from me for $5,000, in a year, you can sell it for $100,000. You would effectively never be off the hook from being responsible for this transaction that you engaged in. For the rest of your life, you would be responsible for that promise that you made.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing there is like, is this the idea that the insulation of celebrity and fame create like a vacuum where that accountability will just never penetrate? Is that the idea?
Well, 100%. Like Akon making that promise is way different than you making that promise. You're not a rich celebrity with like that insulation that you're talking about, but it's still like you are forever responsible for that promise that you made, and it's attached to your reputation as a person, as a celebrity, as a public figure. And to a certain degree, you can kind of shirk that, but that's gonna follow you forever. Like Akon's gonna be sitting in interviews and they're gonna be like, hey, when are you gonna give those people those refunds? It's just such a stupid thing to ever agree to engage in.
So obviously this didn't work well for him. You know, in a BBC article on the topic titled Akon's Wakanda, Grazing Goats and Crumbling Crypto Dream, this section I'm going to have Spandrew read right here was written, and it's pretty great. It's pretty great. Like before we say this, I would love nothing more than for this to have worked. Senegal seems like a place that could use some help. It could use some really cool stuff. A hospital with 5,000 beds sounds awesome. A water park, maybe less awesome, but still, I'm sure that would have been great. It really seems like this could have helped a lot of people and been really cool. And unfortunately, the person who was in charge of trying to make this happen is a fucking stupid bitch. Anyway, your go.
The Akon cryptocurrency itself launched on Bitmark in September of 2021. Its value at that time was 28 cents or 23 pence. but it has fallen significantly since, preceding a crash in the wider cryptocurrency market. Today, Akon's price is just 1 pence. There have also been questions over whether it would even be legal for Akon to operate as the primary payment method at Akon City. The current legal tender in Senegal is the CFA franc, which is regulated and issued by Central Bank of West African states, which share the money. Yahoo Finance reported last year that the institution warned of the dangers of adopting cryptocurrency and termed it illegal. We approached the BCEAO to comment on the legality of a city running on cryptocurrency, but they didn't respond. Those are a lot of the concerns even I have, acknowledges Akon. I want to make sure that however we involve crypto within the city is in a way that it lines up with all the rules and regulations. So will ordinary transactions in Akon's proposed crypto city still take place with his own crypto? It seems unclear. We'll have it figured out by the time the city's up, that's for sure, he promises. But after 2 years of waiting, not everyone is convinced. I think a lot of us have done our research, but it panned out like nothing is going on, says Reggie. I would like to get my funds back and just walk away.
I would feel the same way.
And the thing is, and once again, bringing my sort of like insider insight into just kind of actually having knowledge of this world of NFTs and cryptocurrency and Web3 and all this stuff. I think the thing that's kind of being missed here in this coverage is not that like this is a failed thing, that like they said they set out to make this city and it just failed because of incompetence. I think just from my knowledge of how these things typically work, there was never any intention of building the city. It was just a fake concept to sell the cryptocurrency. And all of these projects do this. It might not be to the scale of building a city, but they all do this. They all have every cryptocurrency and NFT project has what is called the value of the project, which is like this thing that's supposed to be bigger than just like the NFT itself or the cryptocurrency itself, and the value of it, the speculative value. There's something that's bigger about the project that's actually the real thing that you're investing in, which is the utility of it. What's the utility of this project? Every one of these projects talks about the utility, and it's always like, oh, we're making a video game. Or, oh, for every coin you buy, we're going to plant a tree in the Amazon or whatever. There's always that utility aspect of it, and it's never real. It's always just like a thing that they say in the beginning, and then it just disappears because they never had any intention of actually doing it.
100%. 100%. Let's watch this Guardian video and see some of the fallout, or rather, I don't know if this is wait, is this the Guardian? Is this the same? Oh, no, this is not the same. Yeah, let's watch this Guardian video.
So there's still a lot of construction yet to be done to finish the first phase. It doesn't look like it will be done by the end of the year as was promised. And the Welcome Centre is surrounded by cattle that is grazing in the land. The site where Akon City is supposed to be built is a stone's throw away from a coastal village called Ndodien. It's just over 60 miles from Dakar. There's a spiral staircase behind me. The building has like futuristic curvatures outside. It definitely looks like something out of Wakanda, but only one building so far.
Amazing.
It was just like a burnt out field.
Yeah, there's nothing there. It's like a Mad Max set. So in this title, or rather in this article that's titled Akon City Tumbleweeds Roll Through the Site of Rapper's Wakanda-Inspired Dream, the final closing paragraph is, apart from the Welcome Center, the only other tangible construction work is a completed, recently built youth center financed by Akon as part of the contract, which Mabodine's residents stipulated conditions that the singer had to fulfill before being given the village's blessing to build the city. So basically, he went to this place in Senegal. The initial site, I feel like, they didn't want him to build there. So he went to a smaller village and was like, can we build the city here in this basically empty terrain? And they were like, yeah, you can, but I don't really think you're going to actually do it. So this is the deal. You give us a little bit of money and you build a fucking rec center with a basketball court. And once those things are fully built, then you can fucking build your futuristic city with your wave machine and your 5,000 bed hospital. And guess what the only things that were actually completed are? Other than these random hulking, like, structures that could be buildings but just aren't. The fucking rec center.
The bare minimum of what needed to happen.
Let's watch this final YouTube video, then we can talk about it.
1 hour, it's 3 hours. You're getting further from the goal.
On getting here, I was welcomed by this building with a graffiti written Akon City boldly on the wall. This is nothing futuristic like I saw in the CGI.
So we're approaching Akon City, as you can see. That is Akon, and it says Akon City. The best city. You have to go, guys. You have to do it. Alright, we're almost close. That's Akon City over there.
We drove inside the city, and this was all I saw.
This right here is the only building that has been built in Akon City.
Although this building looked futuristic, but this project is looking like a disappointment. An interview with Akon, he blamed the pandemic, saying everything was pushed back by 2 years.
The thing about the COVID, it kind of stalled a bit because a lot of partners and solution, providers obviously had to lock down, but it didn't affect more so of the paper pusher side of it. So now we're in a stage of feasibility studies, environmental studies. Those are things that you can't do it unless you're actually on the grounds. So that kind of slacked up a little bit, but now we're back pretty much on track, still moving. Now construction is starting 2023.
He's doing that. What the hell is his name? Malachi Love Robinson. He's doing the Malachi Love Robinson.
Oh yeah, yeah. Malachi Love Robinson, yeah.
And then as in regards to the logistical developmental as of to the domicile of as forthwith, like he's just like stringing together like formal sounding words because he just doesn't know what to say because he's just like lying.
Yeah, full on just like my dog ate my homework, my cryptocurrency, but the completion percentage is moving along. Our deliverables, our ROIs, and our dates are being met, and buildings, they're happening.
As in regards to the forthwith of.
Still have the 3-year window for the first phase to be done, and our goal is to be the first phase to be done still by 2026 to make the Junior Olympics in Senegal.
Although this proposed $6 billion city is not what Akon promised us to be, Akon has some outstanding achievements to his name.
But you actually helped millions of people, lighting Africa.
Right.
Brought electricity to places that have never had it.
After Akon made millions of dollars in the music industry, he wanted to send resources to Senegal.
That's Vlad TV just softballing him. He asked him this question and he's like stumbling through it. And he's like, "But you have let's move on and talk about some other thing and take the heat off of you right now."
Which is where he's from. In 2014, Akon Lighting Africa was launched, and the first year of launch, this project brought solar energies to 14 different African countries. And by 2022, Akon Lighting Africa had installed 100,000 solar power street lamps and had created more than 5,000 jobs. Because of Akon, 28.8 million people can now enjoy the same benefits of electricity that other parts of the world enjoy. But building a Wakanda-inspired city was out of his reach. The first stone was laid in 2020, and since then, the whole area around it has been mostly grassland with animal grazing on it. Citizens have been promised mouth-watering job opportunities and a better economy, are now beginning to question the efficacy.
Akon City, with that one little half-built building that's got that curved top to it, should be a stage in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 6.
It really does. This is the thing that's so interesting about all of this. Okay, so also before we go any further, the video that we're reacting to right now is put out by Steven Ndukwu, and he actually traveled to Senegal and traveled there and got a tour around and filmed all of this stuff with him at the place that is supposed to be Akon City. And so we couldn't do this without this video. It's a great video. You should totally go watch it. It's 18 minutes long and it's fantastic. This guy, he's super charming. The video is really funny. And he's also, I think, both generous to Akon and also is bro, this is a fucking scam. Like the title of the video is, I visited Senegal to investigate if Akon City is truly a scam. And it's really funny, the stuff that he does in it. So if you like this episode, please go watch his video. It's great. But the video that he has showing the site of Akon City, where it's literally just like, it could be Arizona for all I know. Like it's a fucking desert and there's one half completed fucking building, is so fucking funny. It's so fucking funny.
And the land doesn't seem big enough to build a giant city on.
It's amazing. I love it. So this is basically our climax of surprising to no one, because we've been talking about it this whole time. The guy who, I'm curious what happened with Akon mentally. Like, he has this massive rise in the early 2000s, and then he just pivots into being this like proclaimer of amazing things. He's like, we're gonna do 4 albums in one. We're gonna do 4 albums in one again. We're gonna launch another clothing line. We're gonna have a new record label. We're gonna fucking build a country. Like, all of these things that he just is like, if he just says them, I guess he hopes that they'll come true, maybe? Like, maybe, is this a version of that, like, what's it called? Like entrepreneurial blindness, where once you get told no by everyone with your first idea, and then it's become successful, and then you just never listen to anyone ever again. And so you just end up like permanently out in the wasteland, as it were. And I wonder if that's with him, where like fame affected him in this crazy way, where he like rises to this pop cultural figure, millions of people coming to see him across the globe chanting his name, and he's like, yeah, Akon, but what if it was a city named Akon and we could call it Akon City?
I would more refer to it as Max Landis syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Max Landis wrote one movie, Chronicle, that did very well and was a huge hit, and it created the careers of Michael B. Jordan and Dane DeHaan, though Dane DeHaan's career
Dane DeHaan, yeah.
His career didn't end up having that much longevity, but it still kind of kicked off his career. And it was a very popular movie, and it was also like not a bad movie. And off of the strength of that one movie, Max Landis had a career for the next, when did that movie come out? 2009 or something?
10, 11, 9, yeah.
He had like a 15-year career where he made a bunch of movies, and they all suck. Not a single one of them is even remotely good. And it's just like, you had that one movie that was decent, and then you had like a coasting 15-year career where you kept getting all these movies produced, and they all suck. That's the Akon story. It's the Max Landis syndrome.
I mean, I can't argue, but I think that's just because I've been struggling this entire episode how to find the words to describe this man without being disrespectful. I'm Dave Baker.
And I'm Spandrew Spice.
This has been Deep Cuts. If you'd like to find me on the internet, you can do so at heydavebaker.com, or you can go pick up my book, Mary Tyler Moorhawk, wherever books are sold. Spandrew, where can people find you on the internet?
You can follow us on social media by going to Facebook and searching Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group by searching Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group, where we talk about the show, make memes, and other cool stuff. You can join our Discord server, bit.ly.com/DeepCutsDiscord, where we talk about the show, make memes, play games, and other cool stuff as well. You can follow us on Instagram at Deep Cuts Pod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse, and you can also follow me on TikTok at Dead Boy Detective. Deep Cuts is a production by Boy Genius Media. If you'd like to find this show and others like it, please visit boygeniusmedia.com or deepcutspod.com.
If you want to join in on post-episode discussions, please join the Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group. Finally, subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional video content.